Hello and welcome back to the Midnight Lantern podcast. My name is Sean, and with me today, of course, as always, is...
As always, JC. It's good to be here. Another night, another conversation.
Another midnight to let the lantern burn its midnight oil as we talk about everything we've been doing in the past, it's been a while, maybe like a month and a half.
Yeah, longer than I expected. I definitely meant to be burning the oils a bit more.
Yeah, I definitely hit a rut in the past few weeks, but we are back.
We are back. Been accomplishing things, I guess relatively accomplishing in light of an ongoing COVID situation in Florida specifically.
Oh yeah, we're up there.
We're up there in the case count.
We're up there on the DPS charts.
The global DPS.
Yeah, we're doing so much damage per second.
We're getting
to the
fucked.
world.
We can destroy that here. Oh shit, bleep that. Bleep that too.
Fun. Anyways, updates. I've pretty much been working. I got my my shift back on Saturdays for Blind Tiger, back in the kitchen and at the coffee place.
Yeah.
And then doing a little editing work throughout the week on top of summer classes. So that's kept me busy, but I definitely want to somehow get into the routine of recording a podcast every week.
Definitely. That is kind of the focus. There's a lot. It's just because what I find is either every week or every so often, either my mind gets too boggled with so many things and I don't have an outlet for it, or if I'm not regularly out, creating something, then I just fall flat and I end up having no momentum to create anything. But that's it's a different thing. I think for me too, I've been in a very didactic kind of state, or like a learning mode, which is to me that's my main update, because I recently got rejected from my master's program that I wanted to get into. But what I found is that it's exactly what I needed in terms of the underlying reason I was applying and trying to do these things is because I wanted and needed something to actualize this personalized struggle about something that I care about, and in order to inspire resilience and grit, essentially, which I've never really had in my life. I haven't really struggled for something difficult that I care about that isn't in a game. But that's so far that's been kind of the stream of my being as of late, and I've just been taking online courses. I almost completed a machine learning course, which is very, I guess, weird. I never thought I'd be doing that. And doing that has made me kind of realize what it takes to learn, because it's like listening authentically, and it takes your entire person. You have to risk your identity almost in order to do it. I feel like I'm risking my identity as an artist in order to learn. Man. It feels weird. I don't know if you have some feeling on that, or in terms of your habits.
But that sounds very anxiety driven.
Yeah, it's not fun. But it is. It's satisfying. But that's the thing. It's this isn't who I want to be. Yeah, that's how it is. In terms of, I guess, so for my goals, at least, I almost finished my class. That was my main goal. Otherwise, yeah. That's been up. That's what's up.
That is what is up. For me, I've had several projects that I've still been putting behind. I'm in the same boat as you, where there's just so much to do, and it weighs down on my mind because there's so many things to do, but there's so much time to do it. But I end up doing two things. That's either scrolling through TikTok or playing Valorant or something like that.
No, definitely.
Where we just waste the day or night playing Melee or Valorant, and then RuneScape 24/7. But
always in the background.
That's a whole other story. Yeah, I think now that it's getting back to summer's kind of almost over, because it's already July.
In
July
a vague
7th.
way, yeah.
And it doesn't even feel like summer because of everything that's happening. But eventually I'm going to go back into university on campus in the fall. And so I think that will, my routine of productivity is starting to kick back in in like full throttle, and so I'm gonna try to stay on top of it. Yeah,
Yeah, and then we can hang out finally.
yeah. Get boba
Get
and
some
play board
boba.
games again.
Dang, that feels like a luxury, and it used to be normal.
Yeah, that was like the last thing we did before
The boba.
quarantine. We
Dang.
like skated. We went to a boba shop, and then we played board games.
I feel like it's just gonna be surreal seeing like like friends again in real life. Like I won't know what to do with my hands. That's how I think it's gonna be.
But yeah, other than that, the games I've been playing, as I mentioned already, was Valorant, Melee, and a whole lot of RuneScape.
Mm. Speaking of, I mean, I think that like RuneScape for some reason has had this trend as of late, as what I've seen, at least for people of my relative age, and even on Twitch and stuff. Like it just had regained a lot of popularity. It's resurged. It's like the coronavirus of video games.
Oh my.
No, I'm just kidding. If that's insensitive, I apologize. But they just how it continues to like you think it's gonna drop further. Like I think it's gonna drop in player count further than it is, but then it just surges up. And it's like,
Yeah.
what? Why is this happening? And I want to talk about that in a bit, because that's kind of always
that's a whole nother section.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
So the reason why I have been playing, just a note, is I finally got membership. So I have a whole lot to talk about as a first-time member, and just experiencing the real game from like new player eyes. Even though I feel like
you've been playing,
I know a lot despite being a new player. But we'll leave that to the RuneScape section. Before we get into that,
yeah, I guess. Well, I want to talk about like competitive gaming and how it's different, because also something that I was talking to with my girlfriend, actually, because she was just started playing Valorant, was how she never experienced what it's like, the satisfaction of like performing in competitive games. Because how I've always taken games, right, is something to think about and something to study and offer artistically. But competitive games are actually just totally different. There is no part in that. It's almost like refine your skills and reflexes to perform. It's a sport. I don't know if it literally is a sport, but it acts like a sport in how you approach it.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's a high performance activity.
There you go. That's a good way to put it. But I hadn't really observed myself in those. Like I've always played sports, but I haven't observed how different elements affect me, and I like things that I would normally be unconscious to. I think because I'm older now, I can reflect on my brain. Right. Like I notice how things affect me, and the example is how I don't know why. This is like how I'll start. Where before I was playing Valorant and I was feeling kind of nervous. I was playing with just some people that I like. I wanted to look cool by being good at the game, but I wasn't. And this is Serafina and her friend. And then I just started like talking. Like this one guy just annoyed me, and I started talking and like just being sarcastic, and being funny to myself. I don't think anyone else was laughing. But
that's the usual JC move.
That's how it goes. But then I started doing a lot better. And I literally I carried 5 matches. And before that I was like third. I was third KDA, not doing well at all. The guy on top was just shit talking. Like the dumbest carrier is the person who thinks they have authority to be mean because they're like
top frag.
Top frag. There you go. Frag.
Top frag means
they have the most kills.
Have the most kills in the game, yeah.
And so this dumb guy, like not even that far ahead. And then I just started like mocking him, and then I just started doing really well. And then eventually I was like 2-1 KDA. Before I was like almost 1-1. It was many almost 10, 12 kills, 12 deaths. And it was just like, wow, how I don't even know what I did to make a difference. I don't feel like anything changed. I just started talking. Another example is when we played Melee. And I felt really wired. Like I felt very in control because I've been, for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours refining nuanced movements and controls in the game. Now, I think the obvious distinction is that it's a different game, and obviously it doesn't just translate. But I felt very wired, and then I went to play Valorant, and I was literally like 1 to 4 KDA, like 1 kill for every 4 deaths. which is horrible, and I've never done that bad. And I just dropped ranks after ranks just that whole time we were playing.
Yeah, I remember that night.
I'm
sorry.
It's hard to forget.
I feel like it's my fault.
No. I feel like I just should have stopped playing. That's the thing is like I felt in control. I felt like I was competent, but I actually wasn't. And something about competitive games allows you to reflect on that. And I don't know where I'm going with this. It's just that I don't know, like what actually makes a difference in competitive games in high performance. Sometimes it's hard to it's not really how you feel. It's, you got to have external barriers, and you could bring that into something where we're in this data driven world, and I think that's an example of why a lot of people do data oriented. Anyways, that's been my experience.
I think it comes down to like the more you are more I think it comes down to as soon as you're in your element, you started to just naturally play at what you usually play in terms of,
like, the melee, you mean?
Being more in the flow.
Oh,
for Valorant, you know what I mean? Because like you said in Valorant,
when I started talking,
once you started to approach the game as you normally would,
right,
you were playing better just because like that was just how you play.
Right. Oh, wait, sorry. What I meant to say also, this is what I was trying to get to. I just blanked on it. Was sometimes like it's a matter of confidence in terms of that, or like when I started just talking, it was like my confidence allowed me to take smarter risks in a way that before and when we started playing and I buckled down was 1 to 4 KDA. When I started buckling down, I was too afraid to take risks, and I just I need to play it safe. But that made my play very predictable. They knew where I was standing almost every time. They knew I wouldn't rush them, and I wouldn't do anything, hard to manage. Like, they had control of me because I was too anxious to move out and try something. And also because people that were doing better than me, even though I know almost like factually I'm better than them because I'd fallen like ranks at that point. Like I was subject to their gaze. Kind of. I didn't know how to break out of it.
Yeah, like they were calling out like, hey, don't peek that. But in effect that you can peek that because you normally could hit that shot.
And what's stupid about that too is like they didn't want me to peek a section. I wasn't peeking it. I was holding an angle and like of a position that was very tactful to hold. Yeah. That you want vision on. And just this guy thought he knew what he was talking about. And I just was like, okay, I mean, I'm not doing well. I should probably listen. And that prevented me from trying to play the way I normally play.
It prevented you from actually playing the way you do play, where you can hit those shots and you can peek that.
It's true. And what crushes me sometimes is how, when I think about people who might just assess like their value to how they perform, when it's not always, I don't always think it's like your ability. Sometimes it's your emotional state. I don't think that how like, especially as a person who's struggled with like, mental health and depression in general, I think that it's like your performance doesn't determine your worth, like that's, and that's like, it doesn't come across in these communities where they're so competitive. And really like if you're in League, you want your team to be good, but in Valorant, if you're a good enough player, you're going to carry. And I don't think that's translated in the way that people realize, where it's like, if you really want to win so bad, you should work on yourself, not on criticizing other people. That's kind of my overall, I guess, moral. Yeah. But I don't know, how's your experience? Because you've been playing this whole time too, and I know you've had your whole kind of arc, especially towards Valorant, which was new to you. How has your experience been, and also with Melee? Because I know that's been competitive.
Right. For me, I know I'm not the greatest FPS shooter.
Work in progress.
Yeah. So I definitely take it more like less serious in terms of like, okay, I know I'm not good, and if I wanted to improve, I'd have to like really practice. But I just have fun playing the game regardless of rank, and like regardless if we're losing. So like with that approach, it actually lets me be more free of like if I get I never had that experience of like buckling down in like a clutch moment, because I just kind of carelessly take risks because I know it doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? So it's like
that's a difference too, though.
Yeah, like it's a different approach for you, but it's like the same result where I'm able to peak this, not because I'm a good shot, it's just that because
It's careless.
it's careless and I'm just having fun.
It's so
and
true.
I do hit those shots sometimes. So it's
No,
like,
yeah, and it's hype.
yeah, and then I guess there are moments where I'm like, oh man, like I should play more serious and like really play more strategic and I do, like, because I play Sage and
Right.
you know I have to be like the team player because I'm always the worst one on the team when we're playing ranked.
No, not always.
But like I know that my understanding of a team game overall is better than my ability to aim. So like I try to apply that over like trying to get kills or trying to look good.
Yeah, definitely, and that makes a difference too, especially at I think certain ranks. Just the momentum of being able to have someone talking, and yeah, not everyone just be silent and typing. It makes a difference in how everyone tries to play and focus.
I try to bring the morale up. There's definitely some dead moments, and it's really awkward.
Yeah.
But like as soon as we queue up in the character select, I'm always like trying to get people to talk and open up. Even though I'm introverted myself, being behind the screen and behind the mic, I can just role play this character. Like, who's this guy? He's like, yo, what's up, boys? Let's get this dub.
And it makes it so much better. Like, and that's the thing. It's like if I could just do that whenever, it's like, yeah, you'll start to play better. It's so strange.
Right. So I guess I try to pretend to be this obnoxious player, but I'm actually just like the worst player, and
you just don't give a shit.
But yeah, I just try to approach the game like that because at the end of the day, it's still a game to me.
Oh, that's true.
Melee, however,
Melee, yeah, different thing.
Melee, I'm all serious, and I guess it's like flipped where there are those moments where I'm like, why am I sucking? I buckle down. I'm like, my neutral starts to stuck.
Right.
With the new implementation of rollback melee for online play, it's definitely allowed us to play more online at a fluid frame rate and more fluid connection. And so I'm able to play a lot of players, and we've been playing a lot recently, and it feels like we're playing on CRT. And I recently got a new modded controller with greased up parts, and I got notches and for like wave dashes and firefoxes, and I know this sounds all super technical.
Yeah, like not yeah. Explain what's the purpose of that?
So the purpose is just to have less controller issues because there's different types of GameCube controllers, and there's a certain type that you really want for Melee because everything is frame perfect. There's no buffering. So as soon as you input something, you can't input another move until that move is done. And so I got this controller. I've been practicing a bit, and I've definitely approached it with a competitive mindset, that like what you were talking about for Valorant. And I'm hoping to improve. Like I know the controller's not going to help me improve, but it helps me feel good in like movement and my shmovement.
Your shmovement, which is a big part of how you eventually perform.
Yeah, like if I feel good, I'll play good, and so that's why I wanted to have that controller, and that comes down to like what you're saying, where emotionally, if you feel good, you're gonna play good,
right?
You play well.
And it totally is. In my mind, it's like it's like what kind of risks you're willing to take and what you're willing to see. Like, because when the kind of buckling down, like what the feeling was that I'm smaller than everything else is monolithically sized, and I'm smaller, and so it's like I can't have an effect. And if I tried, I would look stupid.
Yeah, you'll worsen your case.
Yeah.
That brings to mind the whole confidence thing. How I play Melee. I noticed this because playing unranked or like playing strangers online with the new matchmaking, I'm able to play a wide variety of skilled players, from new players coming from like Ultimate or just new Melee players, to like really good Melee players that just body me, and then some people that are my skill level. And I noticed that I play the best when I don't respect them. And so like it comes off as like, oh, I'm very disrespectful, but it's a matter of confidence where it's like, I know to a degree like the highly skilled player will just shut this down immediately, but like it's like because I don't know who this player is, immediately I think I'm better.
Because
And so I'm
probably
able to
in
play,
general.
I'm able to play a lot better. You go to a tournament, you can see who you're up against face to face, and like you know they're good because they're like top ranked in your area.
Have a reputation.
And so you're like you play with this nervousness because you already know he's better than you.
It's very true. I remember playing the kid from what's his name? Orlando. He was like Captain Falcon. Got his name. It's okay.
Oh,
no one will know.
Ben.
Yeah. And the first time I played him, I did pretty well. And then eventually I realized, oh my god, this guy is really good.
No, he's insanely good. Like you played
one of the best. Yeah, no, I know. I didn't realize. I was just like, man, I'm doing good. I got two kills the first time, 2 out of 4.
Yeah.
And then the next time, it sunk into me, and I was like, oh, this is who this man is. And then I got 4 stocked.
Once you realize the gap, you start to
it actualizes
on it.
Yeah. In your realization, it actualizes.
Yeah.
Not always true. I don't think this is always true, but it definitely is more consistent. It's usually true.
Yeah, so like tying that into Valorant, I always approach competitive video games like a fighting game.
Yeah.
Where like if I don't respect this other player and I'm confident, I'm gonna peek mid and try to get the shot over them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course it doesn't go well that often, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, and also not to say like respecting your opponent can sometimes, have benefits, and you could perform better by knowing your opponent and respecting their strengths and stuff like that. But that's way higher. That's beyond.
Yeah.
Not there yet.
But it does come down to confidence and like
your own ability.
Being aware of it, being like aware of like your limitations as a player because of your skill.
Yeah.
Your skill level, and then knowing their skill level. If you, despite them being a better player, you should still have confidence in the things you know you can do.
Right.
As soon as you lose that confidence, it goes down to like at that time where you buckled down.
Exactly.
You weren't able to play.
It's totally about the vision of the possibilities. It's like yeah, it's what you just said. It's all about what you can see though, about what's possible.
Yeah, exactly.
And that just changes. It's not even what you do, it's just what you can see, and then that changes what you do.
Yeah. But yeah, it's all about feeling in control. But then like sometimes
you're not. It's hard to refine.
I lose a lot of Falco matchups because I just don't feel like I'm in control because of lasers and how fast the Fox and Falco rushdown can be.
Yeah.
And it's like frustrating, but it doesn't feel like I'm in control.
Right.
And so like that affects it, like it starts to snowball into like, oh shit, like I don't know what to do, like I forget all the options I can do against that because I'm like spiraling down this I'm not in control.
To be honest, yeah. It's like if you get caught in those ruts. Okay, I wanted to talk about RuneScape because that's some hype shit, but I gotta say this also. I think that like the most idyllic like platform to be playing on, at least like your emotional platitude, what you're saying on in your mood, is when it's like being what was it? Feeling in control. I think that has an equivalent into what I'm going to talk about of knowing. So like I think when you're playing on that, the platitude you're sitting on to play, there's a mix of like knowing and unknowing, and I see that as like feeling in control and also having self-doubt. And this is like some spiritual shit I've been looking at recently. Okay, I'm not gonna delve into it, but this is how I have this kind of theory about what the best play is, where you want to feel in control, but you can't and you want to do your best guess of what you should be doing, but you should have self-doubt. Like there's a mix of knowing and unknowing, and you just end up in this kind of gray area where it's not quite like you know everything, because you don't know everything, because you're playing someone that is, they can change and be dynamic, and people are unpredictable. But also you don't not know anything, right? You don't not know how to play the game, and it's not like you've not seen a bunch of games before. So when you reach into this point where it's like you're doing the best possible thing by how you're judging the situation, but you have self-doubt. Like you don't just know. It's not an overwhelming control, which is what I was talking about before, like what I had from Melee to playing Valorant, and I felt like I knew everything and I was in control. If you don't, if this the mix of doing your best guess and having some self-doubt, and where you're kind of criticizing what you're doing and evaluating your judgments and evaluating the result, that to me is the best place to be sitting in a
Right.
competitive game.
The levels of competence, like knowing your competence and incompetence.
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely like a spiritual understanding that is the essence of fighting games, especially when it comes down to like one-on-one type of competitive games.
Oh yeah.
And any high performance activity where it is competitive.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just deep games. They can be deep.
Human at that level, like the human being is very interesting.
Definitely. And that's the thing. It's like something when you reach that point. Not to get too zen about what Melee, but like when you hit that point, it's like there's something true. Something about that is true, and it's not like it's an act, but you're engaging something that is like honest. That you wouldn't. I don't think there's a lot of other ways to just engage that. It's not like it's not social necessarily. I mean, it is social. It's like a dance, I guess. But something about being there is just true. That's all. I don't know how else to put it.
Like it's just a raw and authentic experience.
That's probably the best way.
Yeah, Melee's life.
Melee's life, bro. But it's also
Melee.
like something about the universe, though. It's like something is true about. It's some small corner of everything that is, but it's something that I feel like is repeated in other things somehow.
I always relate a lot of real life situations to Melee, so I can I could definitely relate to that.
Okay,
I think a lot of Melee players end up doing that. Dude, Melee is life.
Melee's
Melee's
life.
the universe.
It's official.
This is now a Melee podcast.
Melee, yeah. It's a Melee Zen. Melee reflects something true about the universal laws.
It was a cover up to be general gaming. I just wanted to make a Melee podcast.
I'm glad this is coming to light, pretty soon too.
It is crazy to see how Melee, it was dying a little bit, and then they came out with rollback, and now it's just so much more alive than it's ever been.
How rollback changed? I haven't really paid attention. What do you think? How did it change the scene?
It's because it came out when Ultimate was dead, because online sucks on Ultimate, and then netplay was only optimal if you live near each other because of like ping,
right?
And so rollback just was you're able to play Melee again as if it's on CRT. Like it just brought back that what you were talking about, the authentic experience of those late night Melee sessions. You're just existing in this universe, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's yes.
It was doing that, but like in our own homes, more accessible because it was inaccessible for so long. Living without Melee is a dark time. There's some dark times. Like last year, Melee was pretty much dead. It felt dead.
Yeah.
2019 was, I'd say, a low point for Melee because nothing was going on. Armada quit.
It was the year of Ultimate.
Yeah, but then this year, Genesis, it was pretty hype, and Mango's like, there's much more Melee to be played. The famous quote that's been,
circulated.
There's just so much more to be played, and so that started to like, all eyes are on Melee again because Mango's popping off, and Zane was this new god of like, dude, he's ripping through like
Zane.
all these tournaments. And then his sponsorship with the Golden State Warriors, like, holy crap, like, Melee is still
Zane did? Dang.
Yeah, he's sponsored by the Warriors. But they're called Golden Guardians.
Oh, okay.
Because like NBA has esport teams now.
That's so random, but cool.
Yeah, so like Melee pretty much lives, man. And so then COVID happened, and then that kind of touches on our goals because we were trying to get better at Melee.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But anyways, just as Melee has kind of seemed like it was on the brink of dying and then it has exploded in population, old school RuneScape has had this trend as well.
Right.
It seems like it just never dies. The population either is in a healthy state, and then it explodes, and
Yeah.
then their developer team just gets smaller.
No, yeah,
But
exactly.
we've definitely been playing a lot of RuneScape, even in among our friend group, especially
Yeah,
because of quarantine. Everyone's hopping back into the RuneScape
it's unexpected.
lifestyle.
It was like everyone, a lot of people I knew.
Yeah, it's just so good as an MMO. In our previous podcast, I was all about Final Fantasy 14. It was an interesting time in my life, interesting 2 months. um,
The
but
span.
I've realized, oh, I stopped. My membership ended. I'm like, I wasn't really into it as much anymore. Kind of just fell flat, and even then, I was still playing RuneScape, just free to play. But now that
Iron.
so the story of how I got membership and like why, because I've always been,
Yeah, this is a big deal.
I'm never gonna get membership. Like I was always like, it would just ruin the game for me because
Mhm.
it removes the rose tinted glasses for me as nostalgic.
Yeah.
Because I had never played as a member, but I was chopping trees one day, like every
Then
day,
out of the blue. Yeah, oh
and
yeah.
I got this random message, and it's like, "Hey, do you want a bond?"
Oh
I was
my.
AFK, so I missed it, but I was able to see it later when I got back on, and I was like, "Oh, yo, like," I was just curious. I was like, "Who is this person? Why did you?" If he's
Oh,
offering
really?
me a free bond, I'll take it. So I was like, "Yo, is that bond still on the table?" And then like, it's like, "Yeah, you have to just guess my Instagram username." So I was like, "Wait, do I
Oh
know this
my.
person?" So it turns out it was like one of my friends, and he had added me and saw that I'm free to play. And so it turns out like him and his brother were offering me membership just to like play the game because like I mean they'd probably make a lot of money running raids, and so they could spare a few mil.
On the
Um,
side for you, for a little you.
so, so they're like, here, take this bond, like just activate it whenever you're ready, man. Like, the game's a lot of fun, and that was I was like, all right, now I have to
Yeah,
become a member. I can't
such an
I
event,
can't
yeah.
decline. I can't decline this. And so I finally did it, and it changed my life,
Your whole world.
changed everything
Now
I
you're
knew
playing.
and loved about MMORPGs.
It's the real game now.
It is the real game. Um, it was insane. I should have took a screenshot of my skills before,
Before and
just
after.
to just to show my free to play progress.
Oh yeah.
Uh, 94 woodcutting free to play. Let's go, boys.
Insane stats. Truly deserving.
60 combat,
So insane.
60s on a free to play. I feel like
It's
that's pretty
insane.
accomplished.
That's enough for a free to play.
But
I
yeah, it
think
pretty
it's
much
enough.
revived the game for me. Because after I hit 92 woodcutting, I was like, well, this is it. This is half of 99. I don't want to do anything else on this account. But then, yeah, getting membership was insane. I was able to see like how RuneScape actually is an MMO. And that small corner of free to play I was in was so. It was very bare bones, but there was no depth to it. Even though I still enjoyed it, because I was just skilling. Yeah,
Dang.
but what's surprising to me is how like how non-linear RuneScape really is. Like you can really just do anything in any order, and you know it doesn't really hold your hand to anything. And I think that's what I like about it. You
Right.
kind of
And
just dive in.
what I think, because I feel like that's what MMOs try to do, but they end up being more linear. And you were talking about that with Final Fantasy. I think the difference between RuneScape. So for me, something like RuneScape and World of Warcraft, the way their systems, the way they're transparent with their systems is what makes the difference. So, and it's like why RuneScape won't die. It's almost like it's the perfect drug in a sense
Oh yeah,
in the game
definitely.
terms. Yeah, and like on top of that, it's also an active like economic simulator. So The difference to me between RuneScape and say World of Warcraft is like RuneScape, you can just go fish. Like I'll explain how the RuneScape systems work. In RuneScape, you kind of do some skill. There's a certain amount of skills. Say fishing, for example. You can go fish. You can only fish a certain kind of thing. It has a small amount of experience. You get it very slow, but you can gain levels quickly. And then eventually, once you gain skill, you can do more advanced things, and they take longer to get, but they give you more experience. And then simultaneously, like as you can get more experience, the levels get harder to obtain. Like it requires more experience. So it almost mimics a real skill curve. Like that's what it's doing. It's mimicking a real life skill curve where you do a certain task and then you put in a couple hours trying to perfect a skill. Some say, you know, it could be programming or writing or anything. And then as you hit this like higher, becoming the best of the best, like from level 90 to 94, right? 94 is halfway. That's when you've come halfway with the skills.
92.
92. And like so like that you only have 6 levels left, but getting those levels takes as much work as it's taken you to get the previous 92. So that kind of logarithmic learning curve of improvement, that's what it's trying to mirror, and it's very addicting. It's very perfected. It's how like real life works, and it gets you involved. What like and how raw it is just you can just start doing anything, anything in the world, and you'll start getting that skill. And then when you get that, you get little, you know, items, and then you can sell them. So it mixes in. All it does is mix a very pure logarithmic skill quest line, like a logarithm like skill progression, and then it mixes that with an economic simulator where everything kind of overlaps and plays into this mesh of, you know, everyone's helping each other get, you know, progress. Technically, that's kind of what's happening.
Yeah.
And how that's different from World of Warcraft is you can technically just go fish in World of Warcraft, but the overlaying systems aren't as simple. They're not as transparent. And I think we talked about that with Guild Wars 2 with how you progress your final items. But in World of Warcraft, like they try to hide it behind like this plays into this like world building element, and this plays into like, you know, this quest line, and the main content of the game is very, it's way more streamlined, and it's way more linear, I think, in proper progression. And then the fishing and extra skills, those are kind of on the side, or skinning. I remember that was common. Whereas RuneScape, that is the content, where that
exactly.
grind, and somehow because it's transparent, because they don't obscure the systems that are present in the game, it can make you come back, and it's everything you want. It's exactly what you want, and it doesn't try to be what it isn't. I think that's why it's continued its popularity, is because it's honest in a way.
Yeah. It's like in another MMO, it will, those systems like skilling, such as like crafting, fishing, cooking, armor making, etc. Like those systems are important, but the game kind of doesn't make that transparent to you, because all you think about is, I want to kill things, I want to do quests,
Right.
and you want these flashy items and weapons.
Exactly.
And
that's
so
the main content of
you
World
don't
of
find
Warcraft.
out. Yeah, you don't find out how important those other skills of understanding those skills are until later, when you're like, oh, I want this ascended armor. Oh, I have to like craft all this and have all these materials. How do I do that? And then it turns out you need like this really high like level or high required understanding of how the system works.
Yeah.
But you're already at the end game, and your understanding of it is still at like level 1.
Yeah.
So it's not as like you were saying, where RuneScape just, that is the content, so it's transparent, and there's even quests that like you need a certain level of requirement in this other skill to do it, because there's a part in the quest where you pickpocket the NPC, and so you need like a level 40 agility, even though, or thieving, and like that's the only part of the quest where you need it. And so like it just incorporates all the skills into these quests in a healthy and transparent way without adding fluff to it.
Right.
And
it's like the skill, it's not like in Guild Wars, like I think that's the example where you have to craft this item, where the skill is only to craft the item. Like if say like you need this thieving to do this quest in RuneScape, thieving plays into a bunch of other parts of the game, and it has its own functions and uses, and it's useful in itself.
Yeah, especially agility.
Agility, yeah.
I didn't understand how, because for me, I always thought agility was just like for shortcuts. But uh, as a new member, like this game is so fresh in my new player eyes. And so like I always thought agility was just for the shortcuts, but I didn't realize it restores your run energy faster.
Yep.
There's an agility outfit that reduces your run depletion rate, you know, and like
And
and
those are
then
relatively newer, I think. I don't really remember them that being like that, or at least the graceful outfit is what you're
right.
talking about.
And then even just like potions, now it makes sense why herb lore is so important, and fletching goes hand in hand with
Right.
herb lore, and there's no other way to do it.
Yeah.
I think in other MMOs you could just like there's ways around it because the developers and programmers are like afraid if they just leave it as like bare bones grind, it won't be appealing to players.
Right. Right.
And you were talking about this earlier about how it gets lost in translation from what the programmers are trying to do to the players,
Right.
where it the systems make sense to the programmers, but it doesn't make sense to the players.
Right. Right. So my example from that was right, I haven't mentioned that, was the in Guild Wars to make the ascended gear, it like is all nested. Like the items that are important that go into what you're creating, nested in within that is all these other items, and then nested within those items are another array of items. And I think for me, I don't know how how old I was when I was playing. I was a little older, but it was kind of just confusing and seemed exhausting, and I didn't even know where to start with it. Like it had one simple item I needed, but it was really a bunch of items that I just didn't even feel like, ugh, like this is
Yeah,
such a, this feels weird to like start top and then go down. Whereas in RuneScape, it's not
it's
like
bottom to
it's
top.
bottom up, yeah. So like with that, when I look at that, I see the programmer like seeing how programs work, where he goes, oh yeah, I make variables, and those go into functions, and then functions obviously have to go within classes, obviously, like, and then they just nest all this stuff, and it sprawls out into like this great array of underlying things, fundamental things, but it's not intuitive to the player. Like it doesn't make sense to me until I have to do the work of what you did, kind of, instead of having it come to me naturally, or having it be easily interpretable, as opposed to RuneScape, which all their systems are easy to understand, and they're simple enough to get it. Not in a bad way, like in a good way.
And I think what you mentioned, where you don't know where to start, that's so important in RuneScape because despite it being so overwhelming and you can do anything, like when
Yeah.
I first started, of course I went to Falador and walked through the gate just for like a little moment for myself to be like, finally. Even
Your
though that's like
anime moment.
technically not the first members area, but that's like the most common back in the day because that was like the gate that was like, you are not a member. And like
Yeah,
Falador is
right.
the most member like place for non-members. And so I stepped through that gate and I was like, I even like screenshotted it.
Dude, that is an
And I was like,
anime
nice.
moment.
Yeah, I was like, nice. I'm finally a member. And then I'm like, now what?
Right, but
But
that's the thing. It's easy to start. It's always
yeah, like at first it was like overwhelming. Like, damn, where do I start? Should I do quests? Should I like? There's so many things I can do, but I don't know where to start. But then it became easy. Where like, oh, there's a quest right here, witch's house, and so I just started to like knock things down. And then I'm like, wait, I can actually start anywhere. Like, I can just
right.
I can
Right.
go you know, do what I was doing before as a free to play and just with better gear now. I can
Yeah.
do Slayer, kill I can just explore these areas. Whereas in another MMO, um that crafting experience that you were talking about, like you just don't know where to start because it is focused top down.
Top. Yeah, it's from the programmer's eye,
Yeah.
not from the player's eye.
Yeah. Like one of my goals was you know, like getting wood cutting or like a skill up fishing, you just start from level 1, and like it's so basic. You just start um what's like oh like I started thieving from like level 1 cuz like I just wanted to or I
You just
started
wanted to do it.
so one of my first goals as a new member was to get full graceful so I can run around and do all the quests with the most efficient run energy.
That is smart.
And so starting agility from level 1, it was easy to pinpoint where I needed to start, and it's the tree gnome agility course. And so I just kept doing that until I hit level 10. Then level 10 is the next course. It was very simple and very linear progression.
Yeah.
And like you said, the levels came fast. So like the dopamine was
The
kicking in.
dopamine was pure. Yeah. That the little fireworks.
But yeah, and understanding where to start and that being clear for the player is definitely a healthy part of playing the game.
Yeah. It's it's weird. It's weird because like you think that that's like players want to get past that illusion, but it's like that's the content.
Yeah, and it's just so honest the way it's presented in RuneScape.
Right. And they elaborate on it in like smart ways, but that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why RuneScape is still great.
Yeah, like if you play another MMO and start from the beginning, the quest line is clear because they usually have like this super linear storyline or progression to do, and then you just follow it. But then the other stuff doesn't, and
Right.
you're struggling to figure it out, and then you have to like look things up. Not that you don't have to look things up for RuneScape, but at least it's clear. You just go from level 1 to like level 10.
Yeah.
Whereas other games, there's not really levels, but like you need a certain amount of there's tiers to like certain materials that you need.
Right, and see like that. What they're doing with that is like they're trying to obscure the base systems. Like they're trying to make them more elaborate than they are, and it just confuses you. Like it's not. That's the testament to RuneScape's like philosophy, I think.
Yeah, like a certain boss or monster, could be very difficult to defeat in another in RPG or an MMO, and there's not necessarily a level requirement to do it. There's actually it's just difficult.
Yeah.
And so then how do you do that? You need better gear. How do you get better gear? You have to do this, but there's no levels or skilling involved. It's just that you have to actually understand that in like an ambiguous way without numbers to it. RuneScape just gives you the numbers, and you're like, go defeat this level 119 black demon, and you're like, oh shit, how do I do that? And so then like, oh, I need 60 combat or 70s, and like, just things like that where it's very honest and transparent.
Right.
And
in terms of those skilling games, that's the thing is that there's always a number, but they try to obscure it when they try to do different things.
Yeah.
As opposed to maybe like Melee where there actually isn't. It actually is your skill, right?
Yeah.
But different kind of game, right? I don't play RuneScape for the reason I play Melee.
Yeah, definitely. There's this because it is so bare bones dopamine like numbers.
Evoking.
The sense of progression is so satisfying.
Definitely. It's a perfect OCD dream.
Yeah, it's RuneScape's the drug. Old school RuneScape's the life. Melee and RuneScape. We just play 2007 games.
Oh yeah, pre 2007.
But that speaks a lot about how there's just no new good games.
Well, definitely. Okay, I was thinking this too. I think games now are made to meet the moment. They're made to reach something. And I mean, not that like they haven't always, but I think games before were meant to embody a concept that was the developers thought was cool. And it was built to kind of last as that concept. Whereas now it's like we just need to address this, like we need to dress up this gaming system that already exists and put it in this way so that, it appeals in this direction to this demographic. And we're not, we can't make it too complicated. We need to make sure that it's simple enough for everyone to, it's approachable and that it has a broad appeal, and that it loses, like games start to lose what makes them unique between each other.
Yeah.
they take on a similar quality that I just know is like this game is going to be like this, and I don't even have to waste. It's just going to be a whole time sink that is not going to be worth it in the end. And I
Yeah.
think that's the difference. I think that's why we're playing these old games because they were
It's a
built to
s-
last.
it's a sad reality.
It's unfortunate, but that's I guess that's just the condition, and that's that. I mean, that's what I would like to overcome if about
As a
making a
game
game.
developer,
Yeah, as someone trying to make games, I think that's me right now. I'm not a game developer. I'm just a person trying to do it.
now you got to speak it into existence.
Damn, you're right. Actually,
Just
scratch that. I'm a genius game developer.
just as I am a filmmaker, you are also a game developer.
Okay, thank you, Sean, for this affirmation. I will carry this forward.
Exactly. But you're right. Like a lot of game development now is trying to dance around the systems already in place because of the
Exactly.
history of gaming. And they do it in good ways and bad ways, but it's never unique enough to like be the new something. And it's not their fault. It's also like the way we play video games now because of like our attention span and the way the culture of gaming
Yeah.
is so immediate and
It's the culture. It's what's marketable. I think.
yeah. No one really plays a game like we used to play games back then where it's like this is the one game I'm gonna play for like a long time. Maybe that's how I play games. I know you play a lot of games when you were growing up.
Back and forth. Yeah.
But like I think most games are now designed and developed knowing that these players are gonna play for like 1 or 2 hours and then play another game.
Yeah.
Whereas like old school games are like you're gonna play this 24/7.
Yeah. And that ties into they may have talked about this before. Like it's what all they're doing. And I remember talking about Netflix. Like Netflix was like their biggest competitor is Fortnite,
Mm-hmm.
which wasn't an insult. I heard this somewhere, but it was because they're really just trying to vie for your time. That's what they're all trying to do, and so it
Yeah.
becomes an attention grab instead of an honest
Yeah.
product.
That slice of time is enough for them, so that's what they designed the game for.
Right.
And it kind of, I guess, falls short in terms of content. But of course, idealistically, it's impossible to build a game in the way the gaming world is today. I think it's impossible to build a game that really is like the game that you'll play for a long time.
Right. In a way that is like, oh, this is an innovative,
Yeah.
something worth delving into in that way.
Yeah.
It's more like an MMO is like what you'd want to spend a lot of time on, which it's always been, but like before they were kind of new, interesting systems.
But not even like an MMO. Like look at Skyrim. Like Skyrim,
Right.
so many people play Skyrim for so long, and like I don't think games like Skyrim are being developed today. I've never played Skyrim, and I respect it like that.
As in not having played it. I mean, that's some Todd Howard right there, the God Howard. I think it's something about Skyrim. I think the thing is there are games being made like it, but that's the thing. They're like it and they're not it. And something
Right,
about
exactly.
Skyrim was very refined and well done, and it hits all the right itches.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed, I think Fallout like is trying to kind of make Fallout like that. Although also facts, I haven't really played Fallout 4 or Fallout 76, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about either.
It just seems like every game that's coming out recently is just a shit show in terms of PR, or like they're trying to do this, but it's not what the players want, and it's a mess.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a disconnect again, like what we were talking about before. It's the programmer's eye, or like the developer's eye, you could say, and the gamer's eye.
Yeah, and there has more recently been like a focus on indie games, so maybe that's why these developers are like, oh, that's where, like, if we develop a simple enough game and it's not going to take a lot of their time, like that's where the market
Right.
is, and so they'll do that. Like Torchlight 3, the developers understand like they are, I guess, competing for like other ARPGs, but
Yeah.
they're satisfied with you'll play this for like a few hours and
drop in
And
and come
then,
back.
but it also caters to those who will play for like a long time because of its progression as an ARPG like Diablo.
Right.
But
Thing
yeah,
is, like, thinking about how to design for that on a broad scale is such a headache to me. I don't know why that seems like so annoying.
yeah,
And especially, I think another trend that's been showing up recently is like the mental health trend in games.
yeah.
I know that we follow Healthy Gamer, and then obviously the thing with Wreckful,
Wreckful.
yeah,
Yeah,
which is really unfortunate
yeah.
and sad. And I'm sure that plays into more than just games, but I think something like the problem with me is, or like my thinking, I think in the past is like I think about how can games answer the problem of mental health, or how can games like help treat somehow miraculously, when in reality games can't. I think that like a game will never be able to do that in the way that just life,
At least
because
not alone.
right, at least not alone, right, and not like as it's not like you can just play a game and then be cured, or it's not like a game will give you all the answers. Like the
Hmm.
game is going to be tandem to reality,
Yeah,
and so it's like you have to not be playing the game all the time. You have to be, you know, you
doing other
can't just be
things
exactly. You have to
that
be.
are
You have
like
to be
healthy.
and centered in reality, and
Hmm.
then the game makes sense. I think that I thought about like the irony of this situation, or this conundrum that I had, is like thinking about gaming as just like, how do you treat game addiction? Like how do you make games that are better suited for not either like not being game addiction, or like not creating that problem, or like, yeah, I don't know, somehow reducing it. And it's really not like games have to exist in the systems that they exist in. They have to inspire dopamine within you. That's what they do. That's how you keep
Hmm.
playing them. And then the effect of like gaming addiction is where, and I was watching Dr. K, obviously, is when you just sort of, your body is so used to taking in all the dopamine that your brain is generating, that it just becomes more numb to them, and so
Hmm.
other things aren't as enjoyable, because that's what gaming addiction is. You've just been, and even the game isn't enjoyable anymore, but it's just like you just don't stop playing, and that's what the addiction is.
Yeah,
And I think like, how can games treat that? And it's the reality, and I realized is they just can't. I think that's obvious. It's a truism, but like I think from a game developing standpoint, or like from even an artist standpoint, is like, how can art just solve everything? And it, in the end, it can't. Totally, at least it
yeah,
can treat and add support, but
yeah.
yeah.
There's definitely like elements of gaming that can be healthy, but it, like you said, it all comes down to like the way you approach it. Like for example, um, when I was my first year of college, I would say I was not in a healthy mental state,
Hmm.
but I was still playing Guild Wars 2, and I was like what you were talking about, how like that dissociation of reality. That's what it was for me,
Mm.
where I
Was
was
it too much? Was it
just
just too
playing.
much?
I was just playing Guild Wars 2 for like no reason. It was just
Yeah.
something I did, and it wasn't. I could say I wasn't enjoying playing Guild Wars 2, but it was just that addiction of like I don't even.
Doing the next thing, leading to
Mm,
the next objective. It's just like natural. Yeah, it's the addiction.
yeah, exactly. But now, like years later, when I got back into Guild Wars 2 before I like actually quit,
Yeah.
was I was in like a healthier state of mind, and my approach to gaming was more aware of what gaming was in my life. And that's
Oh
when I
yeah.
enjoyed it, because I was able to dissociate. It's like it's just an MMO. It's just a game I'm playing.
Right.
I
When
know
you
this sounds so obvious to
No, I
like
know, to everyone else.
non-gamers, but
It's so
there
true.
really is like a problem where like gaming is just more than gaming for a lot of people addicted to gaming.
Yeah.
And it can be very unhealthy because it just becomes part of your life, like your everyday routine. And really it is just zeros and ones, but to other people it's like more than that. It's like they put a lot of, they invest not just time but like a part of themselves in this game,
Yeah,
especially MMOs.
definitely. And it's like
But
hundreds of people putting
yeah,
themselves into it.
yeah. But I think having that healthy state of mind, and this comes down to like just being aware of like yourself as a human being and the distance between that reality and like gaming. You enjoy
Yeah,
gaming like a lot more for what it
totally.
is.
Somehow, when you can compartmentalize it in your life, like, and again, this is so obvious, but like, you don't try to make it what it isn't. And when you try to take it as it is, you realize it's something that is interesting and valuable in its own way. In terms of like, talking about mental health in games, with the whole Recful situation, how do you think that will change games? And I hopefully for the better, right? I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that um despite his like mental state, like what happened and the whole suicide and the way it was, I guess just it all
Preventable. It
happened.
was preventable.
Yeah. Um I really hope there's a more focus on like mental health awareness in the gaming community and all in like online community in terms of like streaming and Twitch, because there's like this toxic culture of like you put these normal people on platforms and you know everyone, there's always shit that they take and
Hmm.
people just don't think it affects them. I've seen a lot of comments and about like streamers relating to like that type of situation and feeling that they're in because as a streamer they're just like on the spotlight. And even uh I've heard streamers like, oh, they don't feel like streaming, but there's like this pressure that they have to.
Right,
And
they're
there's like that,
obliged.
yeah, like that pressure could be so heavy depending on like their mental health and like this where they're at. So hopefully I hope that it improves.
At least the awareness. I know that with the healthy gamer GG stuff, like there's a lot going around about it. There's more being done about it. There's more
Yeah,
attention being
like
brought.
Dr. K, I don't know how long he's been doing it, but it's
Shout out.
definitely been a recent surgence of that, and that's I think that's really good. That's a start.
Yeah, it's very valuable, even in itself. Like that could be itself a
Yeah,
great cornerstone. But yeah, I think that like that. I don't know if mental health relates to this. Um, I mean, I again, like we'll see how things change, but also in terms of um the melee situation with I guess the sexual accusations. I don't know what exactly happened. Do you want to talk about that?
yeah. Just I guess briefly talk about how um with the whole social media movement, and rightfully so, like the stories being shared of victims of sexual abuse and harassment. Um, with all that going on, a lot of online personalities and gamers and players, competitive gaming players, have been, I guess, rightfully accused and even, going to jail for a lot of things that are going
Oh,
on in
melee
terms of,
players, melee.
yeah, because these are like illegal acts of pedophilia and
Oh my
sexual
god.
harassment and abuse. And um, I think it's good because you want these communities to be a safe place for young kids, these gamers,
Right.
to just enjoy a Smash game or something. Like, you as a parent, you don't want to bring your kid to like a Smash tournament and worry about them being raped or like sexually harassed.
Jesus, that was
and
so harsh.
and essentially that is what happened. Like, these people were accused, and there's evidence that they did, like,
Yeah.
you know raped or sexually harassed young minors or people in the community. And it's just toxic how like normalized it's been.
What
It's
the hell?
become, because you know you just don't talk about it. Or even I don't want, like, even Nairo's situation, he like paid the victim to like keep quiet about it because it'll ruin his career.
Oh
And
my.
so there's just so many toxic situations, and I think it's healthy that it's being blown up on the internet.
Yeah. Get that dirty
Yeah.
laundry.
Yeah, and
Spread.
it's not just like the Smash community. It's just that just happens to be the community we follow. It's been happening everywhere outside of gaming, and it's also good that all these stories are being shared because
Right.
it's just pretty fucked up that it's so common.
Right. In terms of and some people, I think they talk about it like as cancel culture, which I think there is an element of that in the like the witch hunty vibe. Because I think
Yeah.
the essence of, and obviously it started with the Me Too movement, is to enact change, right? It's to get the truth out, and to now we can have change.
Yeah,
And then I think then the thing is like it's always been. I mean, obviously with evidence and like children and rape, like that's a problem, and I don't even imagine that as part of society. Like I forget that that's even possible. But then like it just happens. It's like I didn't know if it was that much. That's pretty horrible.
yeah, it's pretty insane. Like that, this shit just happens behind closed doors, or we just don't even realize.
Yeah.
But the problem here is that these
Was not ready.
people online have like so many people following them, and the problem is the disconnect between, oh, like his personality online is like, I understand who he is as a person just because I've watched his stream, just because I'm a follower, just because I'm like a subscriber. It's like, oh, like he's like, they have this entitlement that they think they know
Yeah.
that person, but really it's not like
It's a
people don't understand
performance.
the disconnect, and this can be tied into like simp culture.
No man. Oh, this is an interesting tie-in.
But I mean, that's a whole nother topic. But essentially, like Ludwig recently put it best, and there's a clip I can probably show you later where he just outright was just like, look, I am not your friend. You don't know me, you know. You can't just like, like he dispels that relation
Right.
between like a viewer and streamer.
And a performer,
And
really.
exactly, like it's all just a performance. Like you don't know your streamers, like, and so that's important to like, because with Zero, like, there was a lot of people who were like, oh, like these accusations are like out of hand, like Zero wouldn't do this, like as if they knew who Zero was.
Right.
And then the evidence came out, and then it was like, oh shit, like
Oh fuck.
he actually did all this, and even worse, and
Jeez.
stuff like that. So it just goes to show like how ignorant and blind people can be to the real issues at hand in like society, like social issues, and even like racial issues. Like
Right. The whole
people, it's
BLM.
crazy how much of society doesn't even know they're racist, and
Yeah.
it's so stupid. And the fact that it's been so normalized in the way we were grown up. Like, dude, we went to
Yeah.
an all white school, and like looking back, I'm like, holy shit!
No,
Like,
it wasn't a
that whole
specifically all
that whole
white
bubble
school.
is so, it was so racist, and it was
Oh
just the
man.
norm. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
guess I was very unconscious. I really don't remember. I've always thing is like anything. I think I've always assumed it was a joke, which was a problem. But I had a lot of really good race conversations with all my black friends. But like I've always been interested in race. I think in that it just doesn't make sense, but the thing is like is that even that could be racist if you don't address that there's a racial problem.
yeah.
I don't know. I think the whole thing is
Until you,
interesting.
if you can't acknowledge the problem, you're not gonna solve it, right? So like, I think
Right.
what the issue is that a lot of people, like a crazy amount of people in America, don't think it's an issue because they just don't know
Yeah.
that they're racist.
Right. No, okay, and definitely I think sometimes I'm harsh because it's frustrating that people are so oblivious or not aware of this issue. I think like my main disclaimer would be read something like Invisible Man by Ralph Waldo Emerson or Ellison. Very good classic 60s
Mm-hmm.
African American intellectual, really good book.
Mm-hmm.
Also Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. If the to me that's like everything. Obviously it's not everything, but that I think that's my
Right.
essential feelings or
Yeah,
understanding
like
of the problem in America.
yeah, do your research and support anything that can pretty much help shape the world
Yeah.
into like a better place. And
And
I
I
recently put out like, like I recently put out the statement, and I wanted to reiterate like anyone of us has the energy to uh pretty much initiate a change, whether it's in our smaller circle of people that we interact with or like the bigger scope of like social media and our platform. Um, like just any little effort can inspire someone else to be more active. And
right.
so that can go a long way in terms of the movement towards fixing these issues in society.
Dang, this shifted.
Yeah. I didn't want to not talk about it because we were leaning towards
True, the social issues.
yeah.
It overlaps into gaming. I know that a lot of
Yeah.
it just occurs.
Especially gaming.
Yeah, I think too, but like it's because social systems, because their systems put in place, right? I
Mhm.
think having a mind for games and the systems that occur in games really turns your eye towards these kind of problems and thinking about them and how there's these clever inversions or you can see different ways that I think if you don't have a mind for systems in the way that a person who plays games, you wouldn't have a clear understanding of how like this how a racist sentiment can be put in place
Right.
and remain in place in these like inverted like wait a blinding or in a space that you can't see clearly until you think about it.
Yeah. Maybe I'll cut this, but like the analogy of like
Yeah,
systemic racism is literally just built on how racist America was.
yeah.
And then
No,
like
it's
the
slavery. It's
analogy
all
is
slavery.
like, why is this game so bad? It's because it was built on the system of like how terrible like the crafting system was made. And so you can't just fix one problem. You'd have to rewrite the whole system.
Right. Oh man. Oh man. Okay, so wait. Actually, I think that's interesting. Does that play into this? Only got into a social commentary.
Yeah.
Do you think that what? So you think it's more important to rewrite the system or parts of the system, or like how do we? Well, yeah. What
How
do
do
you
we
think?
like approach it?
Yeah.
There definitely has to be some changes in like elements of a system, or else it would, if it's built on the problem, you can't just, it's still gonna be there at the base
Yeah.
of the root of it all.
All right. So
Yeah, we've had a pretty good discussion from competitive gaming to RuneScape and even to the social issues going on in the world today. And we did our best to tie it all
yeah.
together. Anything else?
To-
Anything else?
as unprofessionals, I think I'm good. That was all. I feel very fulfilled. Thank you.
Yes, it has been a while since our last one, so we'll definitely share. We say this. I feel like we say this at
I
every
know,
podcast.
it's
We'll
been a
try
while.
we'll try to be more routine about these
Consistent.
recordings.
Yeah.
Um, yes. So, anything else? Anything new that we can, I guess, end on?
I mean, we have a new Discord.
Oh yeah, that's right. So, we pizzazzed and flared up the Discord, so feel free to follow and join. We'll most likely be hanging out there during the day when we're playing video games or even just working.
Doing
We're all working
anything,
from
yeah.
home, so like feel free to stop by, hang out, and just leave there's sections where you can
Yeah.
chat and like leave us some questions for future episodes.
Reviews. We should have a criticism section.
Yeah, where people can just roast us.
Yeah, just roast section. Would
Yeah.
appreciate it.
But
It's,
definitely.
It's actually
check out
it's
that.
very sorry. It's just it is very refined. Sean did it, and it's great. I'm impressed.
It's a team effort.
Fair, all right.
So
I'll
like
take
definitely
it.
check it out. we'll put links for all our socials and all our content creation there, because I stream on Twitch now. I'm trying to put out more YouTube content. I know Christian is putting out like hella YouTube content for his other podcast. Shouts out to RJCXD Official, where they talk about pretty much everything, like films, pop culture, video games. They're all about that as well.
Yeah, the culture wars.
Yeah, so yeah, check out those YouTubes. All the links will be in the description, of course, to all the issues we're talking about in today's podcast. So go ahead and support, Black local businesses, support people, and like, I'll probably re-say this, but
yeah.
I'll put a link down below where you can read up more on the social issues going on today, and where you can support. And yeah.
There's a lot of work to be done, I think.
Yeah, and a lot of change that can be made.
Yeah,
and it starts with you.
You, Uncle Sam pointing.
But again, we are just two unprofessional amateur nerds and gamers and artists.
Nerds,
so don't let us be the source of information.
What you think?
Do your research, read up on anything that is vitally important to making a change.
Be honest with yourself about what you think and feel about all the situations, and try to refine it into something, read up on it.
Yeah.
That's my feeling.
Especially in today's age of technology, there's so much that we can be doing in terms of like reading. I definitely want to read more books. Been spending way too much time on TikTok.
That's one of those short-term dopamine hijackers.
Yeah, it's so bad.
You gotta be careful.
But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, maybe not TikTok. So don't follow me on TikTok.
That's private.
Yeah, follow me on Twitch as well. I'll put all the links down below.
Yeah, I'm JCReno77 on Twitter. Again, I don't tweet, but follow me if you want.
I'm gonna start putting your Instagram too.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta up.
I can branch out. Yes. I have a few sources.
Nice. Other than that, that wraps up this episode.
Thank you for listening.
Again, we appreciate, even if you listen for 30 seconds or the whole thing, or just, or even just click it and shut it off because it's so bad. We appreciate it.
That'd be sad. But yeah.
But let us know. You can let us know how it is. Whether either
why don't we know how to end this?
And again, join the Discord.
Okay, bye.
Peace out.